Okay, the next chapter that is called as chapter number 13, Statistical Description of Data. So this particular chapter will give you something around like 9 to 10 marks. Okay, it's a very high weightage chapter. So once you are done with this, if you ask me, you are well and good. If you study this chapter and 14th chapter, then the whatever chapters are remaining, if you study all that together, I mean you are getting a very good mark even if you skip few chapters. But don't skip, you have time for the examination, you still have time, so accordingly study for the exam. Okay, study each and everything, whatever is in the material, study that, whatever is in the workbook, do that. Will be more than good in the sense too good it will be. Okay, do that manner. So we are going to start off, people. Now the best part of this chapter is whatever we are going to discuss here is we have studied in all the other chapters. We have studied in index number, we have studied it in chapter number 14, then chapter number 17. All the things whatever we are going to learn here, one or the other way we learned some other place. Okay, so we are going to start, people, with the two parts. First part is statistical description of data and the second part is called as sampling analysis or sampling theory. Okay, first one, what is the meaning of statistics? Finally, we are into that thing. Okay, after learning all the things, what are we going to learn? We are going to learn the meaning of statistics. Okay, statistics focus on what? Collection, analysis, interpretation and presentation. So that's what we are going to learn in this particular part. Collection we will learn, analysis we will learn, interpretation and presentation we will learn in this particular unit. This is unit 1 and this is unit 2. Sampling is unit 2. Now people, statistics is taken from the word called as statista and status. Italian word statista means statesman and Latin word status means political state. Not much important, keep a note of it. What if they ask a question? Okay, nowadays and all they will never ask a question. In 2015-16 and all, this was the difficulty level of the examination. Now the difficulty level is more compared to previous examinations and all. Now they will not ask these type of silly questions. Now, first of all, we have two senses or two meanings of statistics, one in singular, one in plural. In singular means collecting, analysis, interpreting and presenting. That's what we are going to study here. Then in plural sense means we will talk about production, income, population, prices and other economic aspects. That's what we studied in all the other chapters. In index number we studied that. In correlation regression we studied that. In all the other chapter whichever is coming under this we have studied that. Now we need to study the first type of question and there will be questions from this. Types of data. First one is primary data. Second one is secondary data. Now everyone knows Hrithik Roshan, right? Hrithik Roshan? Yes, everyone knows Hrithik Roshan. Or everyone knows Virat Kohli for sure. Pakka everyone knows Virat Kohli. So think about it. You want to know something about Virat Kohli. Okay. Now you have two options. You can either go and ask Virat Kohli or you will go to Google or ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever AI you are using. You will go there and ask. Two options. Now if you are going and directly asking Virat Kohli for the data, then it is called as primary data. From the primary source we are getting the data. Now secondary data means from secondary source like books, internet and all. Now AI and all will come under what? Secondary data source. We are going there and asking the question and getting the answer. No, don't go and ask ChatGPT, act like Virat Kohli and answer. Don't do that. Yes, that is since still it will be secondary data. Okay, so two data, one is primary, one is secondary. Now can anyone tell me which will be costly? Which will have more cost? Primary. Why? Because first of all you need to see Virat Kohli. For that you need to go to for example Mumbai is there. You need to travel to Mumbai. Then take his appointment. Then what? Pay him some money for the interviews to promote him. All the things are there, right? So primary data collection is always expensive. Then secondary data collection. Is it expensive? No. Is it expensive? Take your phone. Search. Is it expensive? No. It is not expensive. Less costly. Now my next question is, which will consume more time? Primary will consume more time. Why? First of all, we need to schedule a meeting. We need to depend on the person also in order to collect it. Likewise, you should remember. So whatever I told you now, right? Whatever I told you with this example, right? All these are PYQs. Now I'll just have a table for you. Now, primary data means what? Directly collected from the source. Then, collected from existing records is called as secondary data. Accuracy, which one will be more accurate? Yeah, if I talk about Virat Kohli, yes. Did you have a fight with Anushka Sharma? Okay, Virat Kohli might say the truth. Okay, when you check internet gossips, yeah, they are fighting, planning for divorce and all, it will be there. Yeah, always in internet and all, gossips will be there. So, primary will be always accurate compared to secondary data, which is less accurate and depends on source of credibility also depends. Then, which is expensive? Primary is expensive and time consuming. Which is less expensive? Secondary data, and it is readily available. Then examples, these are important, people. Examples of primary data are surveys, interviews and experiments, while secondary data are government reports, books, website. Now you can add AI also, okay, because that is in the new gen. They can ask a question, what type of data sources? Artificial intelligence, you can mention that. Okay, secondary data. Everyone, Ayush, Akshaya, Pravalika, Sakshni, Saumya, Srimati, everyone understood this? Till here everything is fine? Sometimes you might get a question from this. Okay. Then we need to, so collection is completed. How can we collect the data? Either by primary or by secondary data. After collecting the data, we need to classify them, right? Based on few things. We need to classify them into different parts. First one is temporal data. Temporal means it is also called by another name called as chronological data. Okay, very important. PYQs were there. Previous year questions were there. Temporal or chronological data is the data related to time. Okay, so temporal data is the data related to your time. Okay, now think about it. I want to know your marks from 2024. Whenever I say with respect to an year, I want to know your mark. That type of data will be what? The temporal data. I want to know the profit of the company in the year 2012. What type of data is it? Temporal data with respect to time. I want to know the age of kids in a particular school with respect to the year 2021. What type of that is that? It is temporal data. Whenever time is involved, it is called as temporal data. Very, very, very important. So first one is temporal or chronological data. That is with respect to time. Then spatial. Think about it. Spatial means what? Spatial itself means what? Area. Correct. Spatial or geographical data. Now everyone knows. That will be with respect to what? Related to a specific location. Specific location is called as what, people? Spatial or geographical data. For example, population of Chennai in Chennai. What is the population of Chennai? So it is with respect to a location, right? So it is what? It is a spatial data or a geographical data. Now I will ask you a question. Population of Chennai in the year 2025. What type of data? We are connecting both. We are connecting the year or the temporal data and we are connecting the spatial data together. Okay, I hope that you understood that basic thing. Now, qualitative data and quantitative data. I'll mention both. Qualitative data means which describe character, attribute, qualities but cannot be measured numerically is called as qualitative data, while quantitative data is nothing but measurable data. We can measure them. Can anyone tell me an example of a qualitative data? Qualitative data. No examples, sir. For example, I'll say, everyone had breakfast today? No. Planning to have, right? Yes, Purna, you had breakfast? No. Planning to have, right? Yes. So when you have breakfast, you will just taste the breakfast first. Okay. Taste. Then you are like, oh, the food is good. Idli is good. Then that is what? Can I measure that? Oh, how good is it? Can I measure that? No. I can't measure that. That is what? It is a quality based data. Then you had tea. Then you are like, oh, too much sugar. Can you measure the sugar? You can measure, but with drinking the sugar, can you measure how much sugar is there? No. You will say too much sugar. That is what? That is another quality. Then you are an Indian citizen. Your citizenship is what? Based on an attribute. So it is a quality based data. Then what? You are looking handsome. Yes, you are looking handsome. What type of data? Qualitative data. All these things come under what? Qualitative. Movie review. Yes, movie review. Yes, some people will say that now Jananayakan is a flop movie. If you watch it, it's a problem. Don't watch it. Okay. Yes. Likewise, it's a opinion based. Based on your opinion, you are giving some statements. Some are telling Jananayakan is the best movie. You are also in trouble, even if you say it is good also, because it's not officially released. But your opinion is coming into the picture. Then it is what? Qualitative data. Then people, quantitative data means what? You can measure. For example, marks obtained. Okay? Marks obtained, height of a person, weight of a person. All these data are what? Quantitative data. Okay? That is the importance part. Then people, you should tell me one by one. All these, whatever we are doing are PYQs. Nationality of a person is what? It is an attribute. Attribute means what, people? It is also coming under qualitative data. Character is also coming under qualitative data, and all the qualities will come under what? Qualitative data. The data obtained from the internet are what type of data? Secondary data. Another PYQ. Okay. Then chronological classification of data is classified on the basis of what? Chronological or what? Temporal. Is based on what, people? It is based on time. Okay. Very easy. Very easy question. I hope that everyone understood this basic thing. Is it clear for everyone? So this is important, people. You might get a question because anywhere they can ask a question from this chapter. Doesn't matter. They can ask from anywhere. They can even take a single sentence and ask a question. So at the end, once everything is done, just read our ICAI material towards the end. Once everything is completed, usually what happens is they will repeat the same type of question. But what if you are looking for that 90 plus, 95 plus? If your mentality is that, read the ICAI book also. Otherwise, just read this. Well and good. More than enough, you will get the marks out of it. Now, frequency distribution. Have we studied frequency distribution? Yes. Which chapter? Chapter number 14. We have already studied frequency distribution. Yeah. Now, we studied two types of frequency distribution. One is continuous. When was continuous involved? Whenever class intervals were there. Then second one we studied discrete. Correct? In continuous itself, there are two things we studied already. Inclusive and exclusive classes. Inclusive was what? Do anyone remember that from chapter number 14? Some people were not there that time, right? Yes, have you watched the recording of that classes? Chapter 14? Finish it off. Finish it off. It's very important because high weightage chapter, 10 marks. Another 10 marks. Okay. Now, yes, correct, Akshaya. Exclusive means the classes will overlap. Look here. It will be like 0 to 20. Then the next class will be starting with what? 20. Are you getting my point? 20 to 40. Then can anyone guess the next class will be starting with what? 40. So it will be 40 to 60. Then 60 to 80. Likewise, it will be going. That type of classes are called as what? Exclusive classes. I will tell the meaning also. Then inclusive classes means what? For example, 0 to 10 is there. Then we will not be starting with 10. That will be like 11 to 20. Then 21 to 30. Then 31 to 40. Then 41 to 50. Likewise, it will be going. The class interval will be like that. Now, one important thing is, you should mention over here is over here. In inclusive classes, both lower and upper classes are included. Very important. So, when I say, a student, we are conducting a test for 100 marks. A student scored 10 marks. Okay, 10 marks is there. And we are showing it in inclusive class example. Okay, inclusive class. Then, where will he belong? 10 marks student. A student score, for example, I scored 10 marks. I will belong in which class? 0 to 10. I'll be over here. I'll be standing over here. Yes, saying tata. Hi. Yes, I got 10 marks and I'll be in the first class. Now, that is inclusive classes. Inclusive classes means lower class and upper class limits are included. Both 0 and 10 are included. Now, I am coming to exclusive classes. In exclusive, lower classes are included, upper classes are excluded. For example, in this example, I am telling next exam, I scored 20 marks. Where will I belong? I will belong in 20 to 40. Why? Because lower classes are only included in what? In exclusive classes. Make a note of it, people. Make a note of it over here itself. It will be useful. Lower limits are included. Then here both upper and lower are included. Okay, upper limit and lower limit are included. I hope that you understood this. Clear up? Pakka? Then I will ask a question to everyone. Where will 40 belong in both the classes? In both the classes, where will be the position of 40? In inclusive, where will be the position of 40? In 31 to 40. Correct? In exclusive, where will be the position of 40? It will be from 40 to 60. Okay, that is the meaning. That's how the question will be if they are asking a question. I hope that you got it. Online, Ayush, Akshaya, Pravalika, Sakshini, Saumya, Srimati. I hope that you understood. Krishika, you understood this, right? Yes. Vishwasri, yes. Where is Jayasri, Purnasri? Don't know. Okay. Yes. Sir, I don't know her, sir. I was just sitting with her. Oh, okay. Fine. Next one. So, a difference part table is mentioned over here. You can have a look. So, in inclusive classes, both lower and upper limits are included. In exclusive classes, lower limit is only included. In example is like randomly you can keep. Then, where are we using? This is a important part. Suitability. Used for group data where clear upper limits and lower limit are required. Then we will use what? Inclusive. When there is no usage, okay, we will go for what? Exclusive classes or common in scientific and statistical analysis. Make a note of it, people. So where are we using exclusive classes? In scientific and statistical analysis. For analysis and all, we will not go for inclusivity and all. We'll go for exclusivity. Do you remember when we found median? You want inclusive class or exclusive class? We want exclusive class. When we found mode, we want inclusive or exclusive? We want exclusive. That's why. Okay, keep a note of it. Then discrete. Discrete means what, people? Discrete means, for example, I will write the x values and I will write how many times they are getting repeated. We already studied in the same chapter 14. Now, tell me, for example, in our 8 marks test, I'll use the same example we used there. Some people score 5, 6, 7, then 8. I am telling 4 people scored 7 marks. That means what is the frequency of 7? 4 times it is repeated. Then 10 people scored 8 marks. That means how much is the frequency of 8? 10 times. Then 3 people scored 4 marks. 2 people scored 5 marks. 1 person scored 6 marks. So what do you mean by this, people? That means x4 is repeated 3 times. So 4 people are having 3 marks. 5 is repeated 2 times. That means 2 people are having 5 marks. Likewise, only 1 person is having 6 marks. 4 people are having 7 marks. 10 people are having 8 marks. That is the meaning of this. I hope that you understood the basic meaning of this, because questions will not be there because they have crazy other questions to ask. They will not ask this and all, but we already studied in chapter 40. Now, people, we will start. First one is class interval. Some of the terms we are going to use in distribution. Everyone knows class interval. We just saw. Class interval means what? We will write it into sub-ranges. For example, I told you we have a 100 marks test. Correct? In 100 marks test, I can say that 20 students are in class. 20 of them got it between 0 and 100. I can say that way. But does it give any understanding to a new person coming? It will not. So instead of telling that in between 0 and 100, 20 people scored, I will say in between 0 and 10, 3 people are there. In between 10 and 30 or 10 and 20, we can't write that way. 10 and 20, 4 people are there. Then 20 to 30, likewise I will write. Are you getting my point? Yes. Then we are dividing the bigger range into sub ranges, small ranges, and we are writing in a table. That is called as class interval. Now, what is class limit? We just studied the upper class and lower class limit. Okay, maximum value. For example, here, how much is the limit? The 10 is the limit, and how much is the limit? 0 is the limit. Lower class limit is 0. Then, class width. Have you studied? Are you remembering this? Deja vu is coming back. Class width. I told you that time when we learned it in chapter 14. Class width. When are we using? Class width or class length? That is nothing but C. When are we using? We used it to find what? In median formula it was there. In partition formula it was there. In mode formula it was there. If you remember, class width we already studied. But even if you remember, understand class width or class length is nothing but upper class limit minus lower class limit. Can anyone tell me the class length of the class 20 to 30? Yeah, how do you know? 30 minus 20. Okay. Can anyone tell me the class length of the class 0 to 10? 10 minus 0, which is equal to how much? 10. So, okay, that is the meaning of class length. Now, class mark. Anyone who studied chapter 14 is here? No one. Sir, we were here, but we didn't study. Lipika, you studied this chapter? Yes. When did we use class mark? Or class mid value? When mean, you remember continuous distribution of mean, then class interval will be given, then we require the corresponding x value, right? That time we did what? We took the average of upper class limit and lower class limit. So that was the usage of class mark. Class mark is nothing but upper limit plus lower limit divided by 2. Can anyone tell me the class mark of 10 to 20? 10 plus 20 divided by 2, 15. Okay. So this coming Sunday, you will have test for chapter 14. Okay. Be ready for it. Chapter 14 and I will add one more chapter. I don't want to make it easy for everyone. Chapter 17 we did, I guess. Chapter 17 is completed? No. So then we will do chapter 14 and 17 together. Be ready for it. Okay. Coming Sunday. You will have the test. You should write it. Even though I will not be here, I'll make sure that indirectly I'll be here. I will attend online. Okay, let's see. We will have the test. Try to attend it offline itself. Okay, yes. Next one, people. Class frequency. Can anyone tell me the meaning of class frequency? For example, look here. Class range is given 0 to 10. How many marks are there? For example, 5 students scored 0 to 10. 5 students scored in between 0 and 10. That means the frequency of that class. Then 8 students scored in between 10 to 20. Okay, that is what? In between 10 to 20, how many people are there? 8 people are there. Okay, we already wrote the exam. Huh? We'll do it again. It's okay. Yes. Now, total frequency. Total frequency we already studied in the chapter. Total frequency is nothing but we will add all the frequencies together. That is called as total frequency. That is 3 plus 4 plus 5, which is how much over here, people? That is nothing but 12. That is total frequency. This and all are something which we already studied. Again, we are repeating. Now, important. One or this question will be there for your examination. Any one of this. Okay. Make a note of it. Frequency density. Frequency density means class frequency divided by class width. Now, I will randomly draw one class interval. Okay. Tell me 0 to 10, then 10 to 20, then 20 to 30, then 30 to 40, etc. etc. there. Then frequency. Okay. Tell me some frequencies. Random values. Tell me. Srimati, tell me. Yes, online. Tell me. Yes. How much is the frequency? Yeah, Dinesh. 5. Yes. Sukrita, how much? 13. Yes, 20. Then 4. Done. Okay. These are the frequencies. Now, I am going to check frequency density of the class 20 to 30. We need to find what? Frequency density of the class 20 to 30. Now, what is the formula for frequency density, people? Frequency density is nothing but class frequency. How much is the class frequency over here? 20. Divided by class width. How much is the class width? Class width, how will you find? Or class length, how will you find? Upper limit minus lower limit. 30 minus 20 is how much, people? 10. So how much is the frequency density? 2 is the frequency density. Okay, that's how you will find what? Frequency density. More than doing question, you need to know the formula. They will ask frequency density is what? Frequency density is the ratio of class frequency and class width. It was there in your Jan atom. I think Jan atom one question was there based on that. And I'm telling you, they can ask any type of question from this chapter because it's a proper theoretical subject or theoretical chapter. Look here, frequency density of a class interval may be defined as the ratio of what? Frequency. Tell me. Can anyone tell me the answer for this? Class frequency or frequency of that class? Frequency of that class to what? Frequency of that class to corresponding class length. Frequency of that class to the corresponding class length. Which option you will go for? Frequency of the class interval to frequency of that class interval to corresponding class length. What is given? The frequency of that class frequency. Okay, frequency of that class frequency to corresponding class length, or frequency of that class interval to corresponding class length. The class interval, right? What did I ask you? I asked what is the class frequency density of the class? 20 to 30. Then what did you did? You went and marked 20 right in the question. 20 is what? Frequency of that class interval. Okay, divided by what is the class length? C value. No, not this. Okay, option B is the answer. I hope that you understood the difference between both. Okay, yes. Next one. Relative frequency. Relative frequency is very easy. Class frequency divided by total frequency. Okay, class frequency divided by total frequency is called as relative frequency. For example, can anyone tell me the relative frequency of the class 10 to 20? 10 to 20. Class frequency is how much? 30. Divided by total frequency is how much? 5 plus 13 plus 20 plus 4. How much is it? How much is it? People, do it for me. First find denominator, then click divide equal to multiplied with 13. You will get the relative frequency. 0.30952. Okay, that is the relative frequency. So relative frequency is what? It is the ratio of class frequency to total frequency. Okay, class frequency to what? Total frequency is relative frequency. Then can anyone tell me percentage frequency? You need to multiply it with 100. What with 100? Relative frequency, if I write in percentage terms, I will get what, people? Percentage frequency. Okay, so what all things we discussed till now? We studied inclusive, exclusive. Inclusive means what? Only both upper and lower are included. Then exclusive means what? Only lower class limit is included. Then we studied what? Frequency density. Frequency density is what? Class frequency divided by class length or class width. Then we studied relative frequency. Relative frequency is class frequency divided by total frequency. Then we studied what, people? Percentage frequency. Percentage frequency is relative frequency into 100. I hope that you understood this basic thing. Can we go for the next one? Yes. It's a very interesting question. Many people can go wrong. One second. Yes. Can anyone tell me the answer? Option B. Now people, if they ask a question, what is the class interval? The class interval is given to be 10 to 14, 15 to 19, 20 to 24. Then the first class is how much? Okay, sometimes a question will be there like that. Now, one thing you should always understand, for statistical data analysis, we are doing inclusive or exclusive. We'll always go for exclusive. Okay, so whenever they ask for a class interval and all, we should always answer in what? Exclusive classes than inclusive classes. So the given data is in what? It is given in inclusivity. So do you remember how we make things exclusive? How to make this? What is the difference between 10 and 15 and 14? The 1. So we will do one thing. 10 minus 1 divided by 2. Oh, 10 minus 0.5. How much is it? 9.5. 2. 14 plus 0.5, which is equal to how much? 14.5. Similarly, this will become what? 14.5 to 19.5. Then 19.5 to 24.5. So tell me which is the first class interval? 9.5 to 14.5. So how to convert everything into exclusive? So we studied there. We will check the difference. We'll take the difference divided by 2. Then what we will do? Upper limit we will add, lower limit we will subtract. Then you will get the answer, okay, of exclusive classes. Now, can anyone tell me the answer for this? Very easy question. Read. Very basic knowledge is required. Should just know what is 4 and more. 4 or more means what? 4 or greater than 4. Correct? Greater than or equal to 4. What is greater than or equal to 4? 5, 6, 7. Everything is greater than or equal to 4. So what is the value? Yes. 8 plus 9 plus 6 plus 3. How much is it?
26.
Option C. So number of frequency greater than 4 or more, not the frequency, number of cases greater than 4 or more means what? That means 4 should be included, 5 should be included, 6 should be included, 7 should be included. How many times 4 accidents happen? 8 times. How many times 5 accidents happen? 9 times. How many times 6 accidents happen? 6 times. Then how many times 7 accidents happen? 3 times. We need to add all the frequencies together. Then we will understand how many times 4 or more accidents happen. Are you getting the point? Next one. Can anyone tell me the answer? Option B. Class frequency density is what? Class frequency to what? Class length, people. Option B is the answer. It will again get repeated. High chances always there. Either for May or September it will be there. Okay. Either relative frequency or percentage frequency or this one will be there. Pakka it will be there. Because it is the usual pattern. Now, do you remember less than cumulative frequency? Dinesh, do you remember less than cumulative frequency? No, gone again. Okay, fine. Yes, less than cumulative frequency means, look at this. A class interval is given. 0 to 10, 5. 10 to 20, 12. 20 to 30, 18. 30 to 40, 10. 40 to 50, 7. Okay, class frequency is given. Then people, how to find less than cumulative frequency? So when I find less than cumulative frequency, I will write the first frequency to be what? 5 itself. Second one will be what? 5 plus 12. How much? 17. Next one will be what? 17 plus 18. Then we will go from this angle, correct? Or you can remember it this way itself. First one is 5. Next one will be 5 plus 12. How much is it? 17. Next one will be 17 plus 18. How much it will be accordingly. Then next number, you will write it this way, people. At the end, you will get 52. So that is less than cumulative frequency, people. 5, then 5 plus 12. That is 17. Then 17 plus 18 is how much, people? 35. 35 plus 10 is how much, people? 45. 45 plus 7 is how much, people? 52. Then one good thing is this 52 is nothing but our total frequency. We already studied that in chapter 14. Sigma f is n, which is nothing but what, people? 52. Okay, next one. We have another table called as more than cumulative frequency. More than cumulative frequency is just the opposite of less than cumulative frequency. I'll tell you in a very simple manner. Now look here. Our frequencies are there. I'm going to find more than cumulative frequency. I will show you how am I going to find more than cumulative frequency. I'll start from the bottom. Look here. First I will write 10. 10 plus 18 is how much, people? 28. 28 plus 12 is how much, people? 40. 40 plus 5 is how much, people? 45. So you can always start from the opposite side. Then you are getting what? more than cumulative frequency. Make a note of it. So anyway, you can write it this way also, for total minus 5 accordingly you can do it, or you can do it in the other way, whatever I just taught you. So first one, less than cumulative frequency. What is the pattern of less than cumulative frequency? We'll add from the top. Then what is the pattern of more than cumulative frequency? We will add from the bottom and went up. Okay, from bottom to up, then up to bottom. Now, in the future, we will draw a graph, another PYQ and a spoiler for your exam. A question will be there. Draw a graph using less than cumulative frequency and more than cumulative frequency. That graph will be called as ogive or ogive or ogive or whatever way you call it, call him. Okay, if I draw a more than cumulative frequency and a less than cumulative frequency, I will get what? I'll get a graph called as ogive, and there will be a question. Pakka it will be there. All the attempt there will be a question. This attempt, coming attempt also there will be a question based on this. Make a note of it. Very important, but we will study it in few minutes. Okay. Now, done? Understood this? Yes. Another important one. How to determine the number of classes in a frequency distribution. We have two formulas. The first one is important because questions will be only based on first one. Then second one also, there was a previous year question. They asked the formula for number of classes using logarithm. This was also a previous year question, but they asked the formula. For examination point of view, they will not ask with respect to this and all, because we don't know how to find logarithm. Okay, so it will not be there for exam, but formula based question can be there from the second formula. Okay, now people, we need to determine the number of classes in a frequency distribution. That means, for example, they are telling, tell me some values, random values in between 1 and 100. Start off. Yes, Sindhu, start off. 81, then 75, then 1 and 100, 99, then 65, then 45, then 86, then 97, then 32, then 54, then 18, then 58, then we require everything. Yes, 31, good. Then you don't like lower values? 9, 8, 7, 6, let it be there. Then what? 23, then 3, then Sukrita, tell me one thing. 11, then 7, then 9, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, whatever I want to write, I will write everything. Now people, is it difficult to read? Yeah, it is difficult to read. When randomly too many values are there, it is difficult to read. That is the major purpose of what? Our frequency distribution. Or never forget that. We will write it in a proper table and we will write, this is there for this many times. This is there for this many times. That is the usage. Now, even we are going for even macro level. That is called as what? Continuous class interval based frequency distribution. Then there will be a question. There are some values. Okay. There are some values. The class length should be 10. What is the question? Class length should be 10. We need to find the number of class intervals. So in between 0 and 100, how many class intervals should be there is the next question, and class length is how much? 10 given in the question. So we will use this formula. Number of classes is what? Range divided by class length. Do you remember range? Range from, not from our the other range. This is from range from our chapter number 14 itself. Range is what? Largest minus smallest. Range is what, people? Largest value minus smallest value. Now tell me which is the largest value over here? 99, correct? Range is how much, people, then? 99 minus, which is the smallest value over here? Can anyone tell me? 3, right? Yes, 3 is the smallest value. 2 is not there, right? Yes, that means range is how much? 99 minus 3, which is how much, people? 96. Then what did they say as the class length? Class length was given to be how much in the question? C is equal to 10. That's what they told, right? Now, how to find number of classes? Number of classes is nothing but 9.6 divided by 10, which is, sorry, 96 divided by 10, that is how much? 9.6. You will round off to the nearest value, 10. So there should be 10 classes. 10 classes means 0 to 10, then 10 to 20, then 20 to 30, then 30 to 40, then etc, etc, etc till 90 to 100. Now you will write in between 0 and 10, what all values are there? 3 is there, 9 is there, 8 is there, 7 is there, 6 is there, anything else is there? No, only 5 values are there, you will write 5. That's how you will construct a frequency distribution table using continuous class intervals. I hope that everyone understood this. Yes. So that is number of classes, that is range divided by class length, and almost all the attempt their question is there. Because I am telling you, everywhere question is there because of the reason that there are 10 marks question from this chapter and they have asked. And it is a very small chapter also if you ask me. Then, previous year question. Many people will go wrong. I am already seeing wrong answers. Yeah, tell me. Frequency of the class 20 to 30 is how much? How much? Yes, Subrita. Any answers? Yes. Are you listening? You are getting it right? Yes. So everyone, whichever class you missed, try to watch it. Along with revision, you should go in that manner. That's the only way we can conquer CA Foundation examination, especially quantitative aptitude. Otherwise, it's not possible. I'm telling upfront, to the face I'm telling you. That's very difficult if you keep things on hold. Option C, yeah. Okay, we will check, people. What is given over here? Cumulative frequency is given. Is the direct frequency given? No. So we need to find the frequency. People, always the frequency will be what? Directly you can write. First one. Then, how will you write the second frequency? 13 minus 5 will give you the next frequency. How much is 13 minus 5? It will give me 8. 28 minus 13 will give me how much? 15. So what is the frequency of 20 to 30? 15. Okay. So what happened over here? They gave the cumulative frequency. Sometimes in exam hall you will go and mark 28, thinking that so such an easy question, sir, I got it. But is that the answer? No. They gave cumulative frequency. We need to find the actual frequency using the opposite. Okay. So that is the method. I hope that you got it. Done. Next question. First you guys try. Then I will teach you the shortcut for all this type of question. The timer starts now. Once you are done, I will teach you the shortcut. Hmm? 35. Okay, we will check. Now people, they are asking. They are given below 10 marks, 15 students are there. Correct? So for example, in this particular class, I am conducting the test for 50 marks. Okay. So maximum mark is how much? 50. So all the students, for example, 100 students are there in this class. All of them will be below 50, right? I am telling none of them got full marks. I am telling none of them got full marks. That means all the 100 are below 50. Correct? All the 100 are below 50. Then below 40, how many are there? 84. What do you mean by that? That means 16 will be above 40 so that they are below 50. In between 40 and 50, how many people will be there? 100 minus 84. How much will be there? 16 people will be there. Now, below 30 is how much, da? 65. Okay. Now the question is what? How many are getting more than 30? So remember this, people. More than 30 is nothing but total minus less than 30. So total is how much? In total, how many students are there? 100 students. Minus less than 30, how many students are there? 65. So how much is the answer, people? 35 is the answer. Option C is the answer. So are you getting the point? What if the question was like, how many of them got more than 20? Answer would have been 100 minus 38. How many of them got more than 10? Answer would have been 100 minus 15. If the question is like, how many of them got more than 40? 100 minus 84. How many of them got more than 50? 100 minus 100? 0. None of them got more than 100. So that is the approach, people, for any type of question based on this. Very easy approach and very easy answers. Okay. Next question is over here. Can anyone tell me with that logic? The following data relates the marks of a group of students. Okay, that is given. Then the question is what? How many got marks less than 50? Less than 50 percentage, how many got da? So you will do it like this. Less than 50 percentage is nothing but total minus. Can anyone tell me total minus more than 50 percentage? The ulta you will write. Then you will get the answer no matter what. Total is how much? 100 minus more than 50 percentage is how much da? 40. So how much is your answer, people? 60 is your answer. Which option is the answer? Option A is the answer. I hope that you understood the method. Is the method clear for all the people? Yes. Is this clear for everyone? So this is the approach, people, for these type of questions. Right answer, Ayush. Then previous right answer, Ayush and Akshaya. Yes. Good. So questions will be there and can be there. Next one. Everyone try this. Read the question carefully and try this. Any answers? What is the class length over here? 5. Now, number of class interval. What is the formula for finding number of class intervals? Correct. Number of class intervals is nothing but what, people? Is nothing but range divided by class length. Range is how much? First of all, range is nothing but what, people? Range is equal to largest minus smallest. Which is the largest value over here, people? 73 or Pakka? Yes, 73 I guess is the largest value. Correct. Which is the smallest value over here? 44. Correct. Yes, 73 and 44 I guess. Anything is less than that? No, nothing is less than that. So that means 73 minus 44 is how much, people? 20. Everyone got 29? Then it will be what? 29 divided by 5. How much is 29 divided by 5, people? 5.8 something. Yeah, 5.8. That means how can I approximate it to 6? Answer is option B, 6. I hope that everyone got this. If you did not understand, please ask me. Okay. So this is how they asked the question, and there were many questions in the past based on this. This answer. What is the answer, people? Have you seen the formula that time? Answer is what? Option C. This was the PYQ I was telling you about. They will directly ask the formula. The suitable formula for computing number of class intervals is what? One is this, and also, which is the other formula? Range divided by class width or class length. That is the second formula. Now, get me the answer. 11th question. Everyone, read it carefully and get me the answer. In a graphical representation of data, the numerical value is 45. The largest numerical value is 45. So the largest value is 45. Then smallest value is 25. So L and S are given. That means range is how much, people? Range is nothing but 45 minus 25, which is equal to 20. That we got. Then desired classes are 4. That means number of classes is also given. Number of classes is how much, people? Which is equal to 4. That is also given in the question. Now the question is what? Find the class length. What is the formula for class length? Or number of classes formula you will write. Number of classes is equal to range divided by what? Class length, or C. Now take it to the other side. So C is equal to range divided by number of classes. Now tell me, range is how much? 20 divided by 4. Answer is how much? Understood? I hope that everyone got it. Right answers to the Srimati, Soumya, everyone. Sugata got it. Sindhu got it. Dinesh, you got it. This one? Yes. Bhuvanesha, you got it. Sudarshan, you got it. Yes. Purna. Yes. Krishika, you got it. Yes. Vishwasri, Lipika. Yes. Everyone understood this. So any of this can come for your exam also. I'm telling you, it will always be repetition. Repetition after repetition will be there from this chapter. Now, we are going for methods of data representation. So this methods of data presentation is the high weightage topic from this chapter. High weightage in the sense, if there are 10 questions from this chapter or 5 questions alone from statistical description, if 5 questions are there from that, 3 questions will be from this methods of presentation. Rest 2 will be from the other. Okay. Then if 5 questions are from sampling, that also we will have in the future. First of all, people, first type of data presentation is textual. That means in the text I will mention. For example, I am going to say I started my calculator company long back, right? Everyone remember, I have the company. Then what happened to my company? I was doing production and all. Finally, I got some profit because many are studying for CA Foundation. So I started getting profit from calculator business. Then I am writing. The profit of my company is profit of the company in the year 2026 is 7,000 rupees. This type of presentation is called as what, people? Textual presentation. Are you understanding how to write it? Then, for example, he will not stop there. He will go and then he'll say that in the last year it was this much, next year this will be this much, projection is this much, everything will be written. Okay, that is the first type, textual representation. Make a note of it. Textual or descriptive method. Data is presented in the form of written explanation. That is the keyword. If the question is like when data are presented as written explanation, what type of data, what type of presentation is it? Textual presentation or descriptive presentation or descriptive method of presentation. Okay. Now, tabulation. This is more important because these are the things we actually do more, which will give more clarity. For example, I will say my calculator business year is there. Okay. I'll mention 2020, 2021, 2022. Then finally 2024 I am having. Then profit I will say. Here I'll mention minus 100. Here I'll mention minus 200. Here I'll mention minus 4,000. Now all of a sudden here I got a profit of plus 7,000. Okay. So instead of writing things, in 2022 I had a loss of 200. In 2021 I had a loss of this much. In 2023 I had a loss of this much. In 2024 I got a profit of this much. Rather than writing that, I will just put that in a table. Did you understand the table? Yes. Even the reader will understand, even the person who is representing will understand much faster rather than putting it inside a text. Okay. Now, the third one is called as diagrammatic presentation. Diagrammatic presentation means people, instead of showing this table, they will draw the graph. They will say that first year this was this much, second year this is this much, third year this is this much. Likewise, they will draw the graph. That type of graphical representation is called as what people? Diagrammatic, and always one question will be there from any of it, from diagrammatic. Okay, I hope that everyone got this. Now, which is the best method? What do you think? Which will be the best method for tabulation? Any reason for that? Because anyone can read it. Graph, sometimes people will not be understanding faster. Then written statistical, entire thing is written. People will be lazy to read it. While tabulation means 2021 50 sales happened, or 50 million sales happened. 2022 60 million happened. So it is better or easy to read. So tabulation is the best method of data presentation. If a question come like that, mention the answer. Which is the best method? Tabulation. Next one, people. In detail, we are going to study about tabulation, and tabulation is very, very important for our examination. Okay, because all the attempt, they will have one or the other question from tabulation. All the attempt, there will be a question. I'll tell you the usual question and also the repeated question. Everything we will discuss now. Now, first one, tabulation means it is the systematic arrangement of classified data into rows and columns. How many of you know how to use Excel and all? Anyone is there? Okay. Even if you don't know in Excel, that's what we are going to do in the future when you study it. So it will be we will be dividing them into rows and columns. For example, row is vertical or horizontal? Row is vertical or horizontal? Row is horizontal. Okay, don't with my sound, don't go with the modulation. Row is what? Horizontal. Horizontally, representation is called as, in row we are representing. Okay. Now, I am going to make a table. Okay. (2021, 2022, 2023). Okay. Then I am going to mention company A, then company B. Then I will mention revenue, then profit. Then similarly for company A also, company B also, we will do what? Revenue, profit. Okay. Now, tell me some revenue. 40, 50, 60. Profit is 1, 2, 3. Then revenue randomly I'm putting 100, 200, 300. But the profit is minus 30, minus 40, minus 50. Okay. Yeah. Now randomly things are represented over here. Now my question is, why did I draw this table? In order to show you different parts of a table. Because the question inside examination will be based on parts of tables. Okay. First one, caption. The topmost part of the table is called as caption. Okay, which describes columns or sub-columns. Okay, people. So the topmost part of the table is called as what? The caption. For example, company A, company B is the topmost part of the table. That is called as caption. Then box head. The entire upper part. The entire upper part means this entire part will be coming as what? The box head. Okay. Very, very important, because questions are there from all those. Whatever I am just telling now. Caption is what? Topmost part of the table, describes columns or sub-columns. All these are keywords, people. Keep a note of it. Columns and sub-columns are having a heading, and it is called as what? The caption. Then box head. Box head is the entire upper part of the table, includes caption, column names, units of measurement, everything will be mentioned in box head. Then the most repeated person, and mostly he'll be there for your May attempt or September attempt. Okay, stop. Stub is the left part of the table. Describing the rows. Row heading is called as what? Stub. So can anyone tell me what is stub over here? So 2021, then 2022, then 2023 is called as what? Stub, or the left part of the table. Okay, so years are mentioned over here in this particular question. It is years, and that is the stub. I hope that you understood this. Is that clear for all the people? So what is stub? Stub is the left part of the table. What is caption? Caption is the topmost part of the table, having columns and subcolumns. Okay, now then what else is there? Box set. Box set is nothing but the entire upper part is called as box set. Then people, body. I think this was the Jan question. Body, the main section where actual data are arranged. Okay, main section where our actual data are arranged. That means, can anyone tell me what is body over here? Body is nothing but whichever is having the numerical values, the profit values, the the profit values, the revenue values. All those values or the numerical values are there in what, people? In body. Okay, yes. Then I will do something. It is called as company A. Now, everyone doesn't know which is company A. I will write it as A for Apple. Okay. Apple company itself I am telling. Then B for. Tell me one company with starting with B. Okay, we will call it as boys. B for boys. Now we have A for Apple, B for boys. That is mentioned at the bottom part of the table, right? So it is an information. It is a source of information. This source of information is called as footnote. Make a note of it. Provide source of information for missing details. For example, I did not write A is what? A is what? A is apple. B is what? B is boy. Likewise, I wrote it. Okay, footnote is the bottom of the table and it is a source of information. And I am telling you people, all of this are previous year questions. Each and every one of this, and they are repeated every time. It will be there all the time, this type of question. Okay, I hope that you got it. Now, can we go for the questions? Tell me. Option D, left part of the table, describing what? Describing the rows is called as what, people? Stubs. Next one, people. This question we will do. We will do it in tabular form. If you want to do it in tabular form, it's completely fine. If you don't want to do it in tabular form also, it is completely fine. So it can be done in multiple manner. I think it's not visible for everyone. 1 second. Now, if you look here, there are 200 employees in an office in which 150 were married. Total employees were 160, out of which 120 were married. Then the number of female unmarried is how much is the question. We will create a table. Okay, we will create a table and try to answer. Now people, how many are there employees? We have the main thing. Married is there. Then what is there, people? Unmarried. Correct? Married, unmarried. We are trying to build the table. We will see whether we can build the table or not. Married is there, unmarried is there. Then male is there. What else is there? Female is there. Correct? So that I put in the left side. Then married and unmarried we need to find. Then the total people, everything we need to find. Now people, in total how many employees are there? 120 are there. Then 150 were married. So total how many married people are there? 150 are married people. Then how many unmarried will be there? 50 are unmarried. Okay, so I wrote. So when you read it, you remember in your progress card and all in school, the subject will be mentioned. Then each marks will be mentioned, right? At the end, they will be adding everything. Just like that. Married, total is 150. Unmarried, total is how much? 50. Likewise, you can write it. Okay. Then, what else? Total male employees were 160. That means the total male should be how much? 160. That means this and this should get added to how much? 160. Correct? Then what else is given? Out of that 120 were married. That means how many male are married? 120 are married. How many are unmarried then? 160 minus 120. How many are unmarried then? 40 are unmarried. Now the question is what? How many are unmarried female employees is the question. Can anyone tell me the answer directly? 50 is the total unmarried. Out of that 40 are male. Then how many will be female? 10 will be female. So answer is what? Option D. Think again. Try to tell me, did you get it or not? Yes. So what happened? I'll start from the beginning. If you want, I'll do it from entire beginning. I'm just not doing anything. I'm creating a table out of it. So what all things are given? They are telling 150 are married. 150 are married means the total married. I'll write total over here also. I will write one more table total over here also. Okay. So total married is how much? 150. So unmarried will be how much? Obviously it should be how much? 50. Okay. Then only the total will become what? 200. Correct. Then the question is what? 120 are out of this 160 are male. That means total male is how much? 160. Out of that how many are married? 120 are married. So how many will be unmarried? 40 will be unmarried. Now my next question for everyone. Now people, out of the unmarried, total unmarried 50 are there. Out of that 40 are male. Then how many will be female? 10 will be female. So answer is what? Option D is your answer. I hope that you understood the approach. There are multiple approaches you can do, but this one take lesser time, and nowadays you can't expect a question also from this because they are asking sampling based question and all instead of this. Okay, but what if they ask a question? That time it will be helpful. Can you try creating a box for this particular question? First of all, I'll just make it small. For this question, it's a very good question. Okay, it will take your time. I think it was asked in 2022 or 2021, one of the other, in one of the year. Okay, you will find the same question in workbook also. Try pannungo. I'll give you 1 minute, then I will try. Will you create with year or will you create with? We'll try anyway. Whichever is coming into your mind, you can right away go ahead with it. You will get the answer no matter what. That is the case. Now we will try to create a table. So I'll do one thing. Randomly, I'll just check with my thing. I'll write science on top. Okay. Then I am writing commerce. Science and commerce are there, right? Both are there. Commerce. Science is there, commerce is there. Then we need to think about in science and commerce, male students are there, then female students are there. Correct? Science, male is there, female is there. Now we will check. Okay, science is male is there, female is there. Now we will talk about the years. Okay, in which year what and all happened, we will check about that, think about that. So we can create a sub column over here. Let it be like in science 1995 and 1996 is there, 2000 is there, right? 1995, then let it be like 2000. But if you create it this manner, can anyone tell me what is the problem we are going to face going forward? If I create here, what will happen is, if I write 2000 over here, okay, what will happen is I need to add this values together. That issue will be coming up for me, popping up for me. It will be little more confusing for me. So how will you change it? Can anyone tell me how can I change it? Instead of writing years over there, how I will write years over where? I can write years over here, 1995, then what? 2000. Then also what will happen? When I write male over here and female over here, what will happen? Again, when I add, again the issue will pop up for me. So will you just depend on a single table or will you just go for double table? Will you draw one table or will you draw two table? I'll try to draw two table. One for which year? One for I will create for 1995. Then I will create one for 2000. Okay, we will just check once we are getting the answer or not. So 1995 is there. Huh? Then we have science. Then we have what? Commerce. 1 second. Commerce. Science is there, commerce is there. Then the what is there? Male is there, female is there. Okay. So that is the thing. We have everything together. Now we will check one by one. Now tell me, how many students are there in total? There are a total of 3000 students in total. That means the entire total should be how much? 3000 in 1995. Correct? 70% are female. 70% of 3000 is how much? Take your calculator and tell me 70% of 3000 is how much people? 2100. 2100 are what people? Female. So can I write the total of, so I will write total also over here, total also over here. Okay, total. So total female is how much? 2100. Then how many male should be there? In total 3000 students are there. 2100 are female. That means how many male are there? 900 are male. Done. Then what is given? 20% of the male students read science. 20% of male means 20% of 900. 20% of 900 is how much? 20% of 900 is how much? Take your calculator. 180. So 180 read science. So how many will read commerce? Can anyone tell me? 900 minus 180 is how much? 720 read commerce. Now everyone understood that. Is that clear? Then what is remaining? 65% of them read commerce. 65% of them read commerce means 65% of the total read commerce. 65% of 3000 is how much people? 1950. So 1950 is the total who read commerce. Can anyone tell me then how many female are reading commerce? Yes, 1950 minus 720. How much is it? 1230. Correct? How do you know that? Because total is 1950. From 1950, I am reducing how many male? 720 male. I got how much? 1230. Then people, tell me how many females are there? Can anyone tell me how many females are there in science? That is 2100 minus 1230. How much is it, people? 870 female are there. So that's how you will draw the graph. I mean draw the picture. That's how you are going to do. I hope that everyone understood this. Now you will create for 2000. Can you create it more for 2000 for me? So for the year 2000 we are creating. Okay. Then male is there. Male is there. Then female is there. Then what is there? Total is there. Okay. Then science is there. Then commerce is there. Then total is there. Okay. Likewise, we are having the values. Now, can anyone tell me one by one? So they are telling 3600 students are there in total. So I can write 3600 over here. Is that correct? Yeah, total is 3600. Then 50% of the, before that 75% female students. 75% female students means 75% of 3600 is how much people? 75 into 3600, then click percentage. How much are you getting? 2700. Then how many male are there? 900 male are there. Got it? Then next one. 50% of the female students read commerce. 50% of the female means 50% of 2700. That is how much people? 1350 read commerce. Then obviously 1350 should read what? Science also. 50-50 we need to split. Then what is remaining? Then 40% read science. 40% of the total read science means 40% of 3600 means what? 40% of 3600. 1440. Then how many male science students are there? 1440 minus 1350. How much is it? 90. Then how many male commerce students are there? Can anyone tell me? 810. How do you know that? 900 minus 800 minus, sorry, 900 minus 90 is how much? 810. So that's how you will build the table. Okay. So that's why I told you this type of question will never repeat again, because this much time they will not put you in a question in the current format of examination. Okay. Now, what is the question? Read the question. Combining 1995 and 2000. We need to combine what? 1995 and 2000 together. X denotes the ratio of female commerce students. So can anyone tell me total female commerce students is how much? Female commerce students is how much? Can anyone tell me female commerce students in total combining both? That means female commerce students is 1230 plus in 2000 how many are there? 1350. How much is female commerce students? 2580. That is female commerce students. Then to female science students, can anyone tell me female science? Female science. Female science is how much? That means we need to add female over here. That is one. How much is it? 870 plus 1350. Correct? 870 plus 1350 is how much? 2220. Okay. Everyone got 2220. So these are the values. Okay. So get me the x value. X is how much? They are telling it is the ratio of this. 2580 divided by 2220. How much is it? 1.162. Okay, so you got the value of x. Similarly, find the value of y. Y denotes male commerce to male science. So male commerce is how much? Male commerce. Total male commerce you need to find. How many are there? In male commerce in 1995, 720 are there. Then in 2000, 810 are there. So total is how much people? 1530. Correct? 1530. 30. Correct. Then male science is how much? Male science is nothing but 180 plus 90, which is equal to 270. Then people get the ratio. Y value is how much? Y is 1530 divided by, Y is nothing but 1530 divided by 270. How much is it? 5.6666. Now tell me what is what? X is greater than Y or Y is greater than X? Which is greater than what? Y is 5.6, X is 1.1. Which is greater? Y is greater or X is less than Y. Okay, so option C is the answer, and this is the approach. Okay, this is the approach where you will never go wrong. But will you do, if a question come like this, will you do it on the first go itself? No, do it towards the end. Okay, certain questions, I told you certain type of questions are there. That type of questions you should do it towards the end. Don't do it right away. It will take your time. Okay, so that is your textual presentation. Once textual presentation is done, we are going for the graphs. Till here everything is fine. What all things we discussed, people? First we studied about primary data. What was primary data? Data collect from the source itself. Then secondary data means what? We are collecting it not directly, we are collecting indirectly from internet, books, AI, everything will come under secondary data. Spatial data means what? Based on, spatial means space or area. Geographical data. Spatial and geographical data means it is based on location. Then temporal or chronological data, it is based on what? Time. Based on the year, time, etc. is temporal or chronological data. Then people, stub is what? Leftmost part of the table defining what? Rows. Then caption is what? Top part of the table. Then body is what? Whichever contains the data. Footnote is what? Source of information, extra information, whichever is missed out will be there in footnote. Okay, are you getting my point? Yes. Then what is range? Largest minus smallest. Then what number of classes formula is what? Range divided by class length. What is class length? Upper class limit minus lower class limit. Then what is relative frequency? Class frequency divided by total frequency. What is percentage frequency? Relative frequency into 100. Then what is frequency density? Yes. What is frequency density? Class frequency divided by class length. Yes. Frequency divided by class length. So these all things we studied, and all of that are important. Then we are going for the final part of this chapter, this unit. Okay. After this we have one more unit. That is sampling. Sampling is one of the driest topic ever. Driest in the sense that is too dry. Dry means I hope that none of you sleep also, because it's a very proper theoretical chapter. So I'll be teaching with proper exam point of view, including all the topics, including all the things mentioned in the ICAI book, so that whatever they ask, you will not go wrong with respect to our ICAI book. So I'll discuss everything from ICAI book itself using the material. Okay, it is in a simplified manner. It will help you out also. Now, coming to the last part. Diagrammatic presentation of data. In diagrammatic presentation of data, yes. No, we have probability and theoretical distribution. That will be done in the next 2 days. It will be. Yes. Diagrammatic representation of data. There are 3 types of diagram. One is one-dimensional, then two-dimensional, then finally 3-dimensional. Now, people, bar chart and all. What is bar chart? Don't talk, please. What happened? Yes. Please don't talk. What happened? Yes. It's okay. Now, bar chart means what? Have you seen bar chart like this and all? If you watch cricket and all, you will see after every over, they will show some projection. This many runs are scored. Likewise, they will show. This is bar chart. Then line graph means you will just join points using lines. That type of graph is called as line graph. Now people, these are one-dimensional. Then you will be like, sure, how that can be one-dimensional? They are drawn in x-axis and y-axis, right? 2 axes are there. Then it should be 2-dimensional, right? Why are you telling it is one-dimensional? Why? Because. Why they are called one-dimensional? Because the reason is, for example, bar chart. This is bar chart. So in order to mark 5, they are just putting a bar till here for the year 2000. Okay, randomly putting something. Here we are concerned about what? Only the length. Are you getting my point? Only the length of the bar we are concerned about. Are we concerned about anything else? No. That's why whenever we are only concerned about one of the length or width or anything, then it is called as what? One-dimensional. When we are concerned about both the cases, length and width, then it is what? Two-dimensional. Then we are concerned about length, width and also some other value in between. Then it is called as three-dimensional. That we will talk in some time. First one, people, one-dimensional, bar graph and line graph. So line graph is how much? It is mainly used to show a trend over time. Okay. How can I show the trend? For example, my calculator business. First year I started. First year I did not have any profit. It was 0 because I don't have anything. Then second year it went like this. I got a profit of 5 rupees. Then I got a profit of 7 rupees. Then again profit went down to 6 rupees. Then again profit went to 30 rupees it went. Okay. This type of representation is called as what, people? Line graph. Okay. This is called as what? Line graph. Randomly I am drawing some line and joining the points. So that is mentioned over here, people. So have a look at it. Sometimes they will give the graph and ask you the question, what type of graph is it? What type is it? It is line graph. And is it a one-dimensional, two-dimensional or three-dimensional, people? It is what? It is one-dimensional. Why is it one-dimensional? We are only mentioning the height. We are only bothered about the height. Are we bothered about the width of the graph? No. We are only bothered about how much profit we got every time. That is the only thing bothering us. Okay. I hope that you understood line graph. Now coming to bar graph. Bar graph represent category data. Make a note of it. Which of the following graph is mainly used to represent categorical data? Which is that? Bar graph. Okay. We are having rectangular bars, and or we can have either vertical bar graph or we can have this graph also. We can have horizontal bar graph also. This way also you can have. Okay. In this horizontal bar graph, we are only concerned about length or width. Here we are concerned about the width. Okay, not about the length. In vertical bar graph, we are concerned about the length. Okay, keep a note of that also if required, or just remember it. Now, there are different types of bar graph and we need to just know the basics. Okay, just know the basic examples or where are they used and all. Horizontal bar graph are used for qualitative data. Keep a note. When is horizontal bar graph used? How will an horizontal bar graph look like? Horizontal bar graph looks like this. Okay, like this and all it will look like. So when it is used for qualitative data, what are qualitative data, people? Can it be measured? No. Then it is what? Qualitative data is what? It is based on attribute or character. Everything will come under what? Qualitative data. Then vertical bar graphs are used for what? Quantitative data. Quantitative data means what? Measured data or measurable data. Then that is the two important part. Rest of it you can read it. There cannot be any question from that because we have major other parts in this chapter. Then another important one. Pie chart. Have you heard about pie chart before, people? Have you studied in school and all? You might have studied. So instead of using any normal graph, our normal we will have the box, green color, then blue color and pink color graphs were there in a school and all, right? Instead of using that, we are representing the data inside a circle. Okay, we will find the angle and we will use a protractor, we will use a compass, then we will draw it. Will we do that? No. Okay, first of all, we don't need to draw any graph in examination, but we need to find the angle. For example, the pie chart looks like this. This is how a pie chart look like. Now, for example, they are telling x size is mentioned in this one with what line? This type of line, that is over here. I think this type of line x size is mentioned. Okay, this entire part is what? X size. So how much they are spending for x size is mentioned over here. Then IT they are spending this much. Then for custom duty they are spending this much. Then for CT taxes and all they are paying this much. Then all the other miscellaneous expenses are mentioned over here. So it is called as pie chart. The major example or major use for us in this particular part is we need to find the central angle. Central angle means, for example, now miscellaneous expenses having how much angle. Okay, when the data is given, how can I draw the graph? Can I randomly draw the circle and I cut it into different parts? No, that is not possible. So we need to find the central angle, and that's where the question comes for examination from this particular type of thing. I hope you are getting it. So central angle is what? X divided by sigma x into 360 degree. What is this 360 degree now? That is the total angle. So total angle means you need to multiply, you need to convert it into angle, means you need to multiply everything with 360. People, if you need to convert everything into percentage, you will multiply it with what? 100. Similar to that, if you want to completely convert them into angles, you need to multiply it with what? 360 degree. So I will give you one example. Okay, here I am randomly telling, okay, IT is there, then X size is there, then what else is there? Something else, miscellaneous is there. Okay, IT is given to be 5, miscellaneous is given to be 10, sorry, X size is given to be 10, miscellaneous is given to be 7. I want you to find the central angle of IT. How to find the central angle of IT? I can easily find the central angle of IT by, instead of X, I will put what? 5. Then denominator will be what? Sum of all the things. 5 plus 10 plus 7. Then entire thing is multiplied with what? 360 degree. I'll get the answer. Everyone do it for me. 5 divided by 5 plus 10 plus 7. How much is it? 5 divided 5 plus 10 plus 7 is 5 divided by 22 into 360 degree. How much is the angle, people? 81.818 degree. So that is the central angle, and that's how they ask the question. Okay, that is the only thing. You need to know the formula, use the formula. I know some people will make mistake. I have seen multiple times. I have seen people making a same type of mistake. Many students, instead of multiplying with 360, right, they will go and multiply it with 100 because they have that knowledge of percentage coming out of nowhere. That will always happen. Because of that, people will multiply it with what? 100 instead of what? Instead of 360. Don't do that mistake. Keep it in your mind. If you do that mistake, it is gone. Okay. Next one, people. We'll solve some question, then we'll come back. Okay. Because anyway, we are discussing too much theory for some time. First question, 24th question. Everyone try. A pie diagram is used to represent the following data. Source is there, then revenue is also mentioned. What we need to find? Central angle to income tax. Income tax ka central angle we need to find. What is the formula for central angle? Central angle is what, people? Central angle is nothing but x divided by sigma x into 360 degrees. So for income tax, how much will be the central angle? 240 divided by 120 plus 180 plus 240 plus 180. The entire thing is multiplied with what? 360 degree. Just to use a calculator, get me the answer. How to use calculator? Everyone should tell me. So first of all, you will find the entire denominator. 120 plus 180 plus 240 plus 180. You will add everything. Then click divide equal to multiplied with 240 multiplied with 360. How much are you getting? 119.999 or 120? 120 or 119.99, both are what? 120. So looking at that, only one option is having 120 in the first one. Respectively, do you remember respectively? Respectively means income tax is 120. Okay, no change in that. Which option should be the answer? Option A should be the answer. If you want, you find for wealth tax also you find. Wealth tax is how much, people? 180 divided by 120 plus 180 plus 240 plus 180. The entire thing multiplied with 360. Just to use calculator, you will get 89.999 or you will get 90. Okay. Yes. Do this question, people. A student's mark in 5 subjects. Subject 1, subject 2, subject 3, subject 4, subject 5 are respectively what? 86, 79, 90, 88, 89. We need to find the pie chart to represent. Then what will be the central angle of S3 is the question. Okay. This answer? Okay. Correct answer. Srimati correct? Yes, Bhuvaneswar correct. Try it. We need to find the central angle of what, people? S3. S3 is what? 90. So just use calculator, everyone. Okay. 90 divided by 86 plus 79 plus 90 plus 88 plus 89. How much is the answer? 74.9999, which is approximately equal to what? 75. Which answer is the answer, people? Option B. Right answer, Soumya, Nihida, everyone. Correct. Understood, people? Then get me this. What is the difference between central angles of promoters and public in a pie chart? What is it? Central angle between promoters and public in a pie chart. We need to find the difference of the central angle. Okay. People, first of all, what is promoter? The promoter is 120. So I'll write promoter first. 120 divided by 120 plus 25 plus 20 plus 20 plus 15 minus. What is difference between means? We need to take the difference between them. Minus public, right? Minus 15 divided by 120 plus 20 plus 25 plus 20 plus 20 plus 15. Now if you ask me, it is nothing but LCM is same for both the cases. So numerator is how much that we can write it as 120. The entire thing is multiplied with what? 360. How much is the answer? 189. Option D. Everyone got 189. Correct answer, Sakshini. Yes, Srimati, Sudhi, Soumya, everyone got it. So how much everyone got it as 189? So answer is equal to 189. Anyone did not get also should tell me. Just using calculator, we can find the answer. Yes. Now, don't write. I'm telling you, if a question like this come for exam, will you write? No, you will not write. So what to do is, when the question is like difference between promoters and public, just first you will take the calculator and check the difference between them. 120 and 15. How much is it? 105. Okay, keep it in your mind or write it somewhere. 105, you will write it somewhere. Or you will type 105 and click M plus. That is also fine. Instead of trusting your memory, it's better trusting the calculator memory. Click M plus. Then you will add everything in the denominator. 120 plus 25 plus 20 plus 20 plus 15. You will add all the things. Then you will click divide equal to, multiply it with MRC, multiply it with what? 360. You will get the answer. Don't even write. These type of questions are there to save your time. Okay. Next. So we need to find the largest and smallest component. Largest component is 35. Smallest component is 12. So 35 minus 12 is how much? 23. So 23 should be the numerator. And denominator is what? 12 plus 20 plus 35 plus 23. Okay, you will get the denominator. Click divide equal to. Multiply it with 23. Then what? Multiply it with 360 degree. You will get it as what? 91.999 something you will get, or 92 you will get exactly. Okay. So what is the largest minus smallest? Largest is how much? The largest is 35. So 35 minus how much? 12 divided by what? 12 plus 20 plus 35 plus 23. The entire thing is multiplied with what, people? 360 degree. You will get it as 92 degree. Option E. Correct answer. Nihida, Sudhi, Srimati, everyone. Everyone got this? Pakka? Yes. If so, we can go for the next one. And it is the final part of this chapter. And whatever we are going to discuss now will sure give you 1 mark. Because if you check any of the question paper, they always like this histogram, and they always like this someone called as ogive or ogive or ogive or whatever way you call it. First one is histogram. When we discussed long back in chapter 14, I told you histogram is what? Histogram is whenever we want to find the mode of a given frequency class interval distribution, we can use which graph? Histogram. Make a note. Previous year question. Histogram is used to find what? Used to find mode. Mostly this question will be there. Histogram is used to find what, people? It is used to find mode. It looks like bar graph itself, but the thing is there is no gap in between. Okay, so mainly histogram is used for what? Histogram is used for continuous class interval. Okay, continuous class interval. Histogram is used for continuous class interval. Now look here. Weight of the people are given in kilogram from 43.5 to 53.5, 53.5 to 63.5, 63.5 to 73.5. Likewise, it is given. In between them, there will be some value also, that is 48.5 will be here. Then 58.5 will be here. Then 68.5 will be here. Likewise, it is there. Okay, that is the class intervals. So 43 to 48.5 is a class interval. 53.5 to 58.5 will be a class interval. Likewise, class intervals will be given. Now, whenever class intervals are given and the number of frequencies are given, we can always draw what? A histogram. Okay, for example, a class interval 0 to 10. I am randomly telling 0 to 10 is having a frequency of 5. That means when I draw the graph, it is mentioned for 0, instead of 0 to 10, I will use 10 to 20 so that you will get better clarity. 10 to 20. I am telling it is 5. That means I will draw the bar graph from 10 to 20 till 5. Okay, so that is histogram. Then 20 to 30, they are telling the value is 8. That means I will draw the next bar. It will go till what? 8. It will be coming like this. That's how you draw a histogram. Okay, then one more thing I will teach you right away. People, where will be the midpoint of this particular thing? Is this red pink color is the midpoint of this particular bar? Yes. Is this is the particular midpoint of this bar? Yes. If this is the midpoint, is this is the midpoint, this is the midpoint, this is the midpoint, everything is the midpoint, right? Now, people, if I join the midpoints, using lines and draw another graph, okay? If I join the midpoints using lines and draw another graph, then we will get the next graph called as frequency polygon. Make a note of it. Frequency polygon means it is found by using what? It is plotted by using the midpoints of histogram. Very, very, very important. There can be a question based on this. How are frequency polygon drawn? It is drawn by using the midpoints of the histogram. Which two graphs are very much related? Frequency polygon and histogram. Then histogram is used to find what, people? Histogram is used to find mode for continuous group data. Repeated question. Every time one or the other question will be there. Okay. Next one. In a frequency polygon or an histogram, in the x-axis, what is represented? In the x-axis, what is represented? Class interval. Correct? In x-axis, what is represented? X-axis, class interval. Another question. Then, in y-axis, what is represented? Y-axis, what is represented? The frequency. Okay. Another question. There can be a question like this also. So, two things are done. We have x-axis means class interval, y-axis means frequency, both the things. Now, next one. We are going for frequency polygon is just like this, drawing the midpoints, we are joining and we are getting the answer. Now, the next one is another important one, and it is one of the most important one from this particular chapter, that is called as ogive. How will you call this? How you used to call it? Ogive or ogive or ogive. Are you reading it for the first time? If you are reading it for the first time, you can read it as whatever you want to read it. Okay, call it anyway, but at the end of the day, you should be able to get the answer. Ogive or ogive, whatever way you call it, I'm completely fine with it. So, ogive is plotted by using, I already told you some time back, what and what? Less than cumulative frequency and more than cumulative frequency. I'll tell you some of the questions which came in the past. LCF and MCF, more than cumulative frequency, are plotted to get which graph? Plotted to get graph called as ogive. Next one. Median is found using which graph? Ogive. I told you that time also. Then partitions. Partitions are called as what? Partitions are quartile, then percentile, then decile. All of them are found using which graph? Ogive. Okay. Then another question. Less than cumulative frequency, this graph. And more than cumulative frequency, this graph. They will meet at a point. Their point of intersection is called as what? Median. Make another note of it. This point of intersection is called as what, people? Where they meet and the corresponding x values is what? Median. They will meet at their median or second quartile or any other answer is there? 50th percentile or 5th decile. When you study the chapter, you will get to know. Okay, we have already studied, but still, if you haven't studied, watch the recording and get that done. Okay, that time you will know what is this P50, everything you will get to know. Very easy. One of the easiest topic. It's all about studying it or not. That is okay. Then, another repeated question. X-axis represent what? Represent class boundary. Okay. Next axis, it represent class boundaries. In y-axis, what it is represented? Cumulative frequency. Very important. Okay. So people, in the x-axis, it is what? Class boundary. Y-axis, it is what? Cumulative frequency. Now we will, can I go to the Jan atom? Can I randomly go there? We will check whether something is there from this. Tell me that for this. Diagrammatic representation of cumulative frequency is called as what, people? Ogive. Okay. Then we will check if something else is there. No, that's all. Fine. So all these are very, very easy questions, people, whichever came for examination, and the pattern will be same itself. It's all about how you study. That's at the end of the day, depends on you. However I push you, I know that at the end, you will only be able to do it for yourself. So keep it in your mind and accordingly do it. Okay. Next one. Some frequency curves. First one is U-shaped curve. The curve will look like this. Not much important, but the shape is important. So what will happen over here? Initially, it will be like a very high start will be there. Then it will go down. Then it will come to the bottom. Then again, it will go up. For example, traffic from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. or 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. or 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. We are just taking 8 a.m. peak traffic. Then in the afternoon time, it goes down. Then again at 4 o'clock and all, it will go up. Again it will go up. So traffic can be represented using what graph? A U-shaped curve. So you always think about that. Then that's how it is represented. Class boundary will be there. Frequency density will be there in the x-axis. Make a note of it. This is important. In U-shaped curve, class frequency density is there in the y-axis. Sorry, not x-axis, y-axis. Then J-shaped or inverted S-shaped curve. J-shaped means it will be just looking like this. J-shape. Can anyone tell me a J-shape curve example? Randomly, what do you think? Now you are writing exam. You will start off with high intensity. Then you will go for a small slowdown. Then again towards the end you will be like panicking and starting again. Correct? That is the usual way of writing. So if you ask me, our graph in examination hall for 2 hours should be always straight or up. Should always go up or it should stay in the stable way. You should not go down or in between go up and all. It's not permitted. If you ask me low and all, some people will be like lazy to write. When you start it, sir, I am not lazy to write, sir. Yes, I have seen it. Sir, I don't want to write, sir. Don't do that. For 2 or 3 hours, you should think that I have only that much hours and go with your full intensity. Don't come again. Okay. Keep in that manner and go and write. You will be able to get more than good marks. Okay. Then bell shaped. Bell shaped is nothing but it will be looking like a bell itself. This one we will study in detail in the next chapter, that is chapter probability and theoretical distribution. That time we will be discussing this, that is bell shaped curve. It looks like this. It is used for representing normal data and for normal distribution. Now, mixed curve is like mix of everything. Not much important for our exam point of view, but it looks like randomly. Even if you draw a graph randomly like this, it is what? It is a mixed curve. I can say that it went like from normal distribution to random distribution. Likewise, I can say that. Okay, that is a mixed curve. Now we will go for questions. Which of the following is not a two-dimensional figure? Line diagram. In line diagram, we were only concerned about what? Only concerned about the height, not the width and all. Correct? Then, less than and more than type of ogives meet at a point known as what? Median. Good. Arrange the dimension of bar graph, cube diagram and pie diagram. Can anyone tell me? Now, bar diagram is what? One dimensional. We know that. Then pie diagram is what? Two dimensional. Why? Because we are concerned about the entire width of that. Then cube diagram is what? Three dimensional. Now you will be like, sir, what is a cube diagram, sir? Yes. Do you know how to draw a cube? So the data will be represented inside this. And there will be three axes. For example, there is a y-axis, there is a x-axis, and there is a z-axis. Okay, that type of diagram is called as three-dimensional. Okay, whenever three axes are involved, we are concerned about the thickness of this and the height of this and also the width of this. Whenever we are concerned about that. Next one. Which option is the answer then? 1, 3, 2, right? Which option? Option A. Next question. With the help of histogram, one can find what? Histogram means we will find what, people? Mode. If we plot less than and more than type of cumulative distribution table, the plotted graph is what? Plotted graph is what? Ogive or whatever you call it. Just read it as OGIVE. Then using ogive curve, we can determine what, people? Both A and B. Not only median, we can find partition also. Okay, so both A and B, option C is your answer. Mode can be obtained from what? Histogram. Correct. So that's your first part. Less than ogive is a dash shaped curve. Look here, less than ogive will be how? It will be going like this, right? What type of curve is that? J-shaped curve. Okay. So these are the questions, people. That's your first unit. How is the unit? One of the easiest unit, right? Just you need to know the basics. Then go for the question. Do the workbook and all. You will get multiple doubts also maybe. But at the end, you will get the answers. When you know workbook, when you go know this, you are sorted. You are sorted for the exam. You will get the marks out of this chapter. It is a high scoring mark. Sorry, high scoring chapter or high scoring unit. You can get that 5 marks out of it. Okay. Now, people, we will talk about the next one. 1 second.